Hey, hello my YouTube friends, how are you doing? I'm at this Japanese style barbecue restaurant, and this is absolutely my favorite. And check out what I have ordered. Look at this, isn't that awesome? So this is like a tea set. As I said, in Hong Kong, it's was a former British colony. So tea time is really still a tradition in Hong Kong, and we do get from tea time, I think from 2:30 to 5 o'clock. Yeah, to 5 o'clock, we get 20% off the total bill. So that's an awesome deal. Anyways, I'm gonna start off eating, and we're gonna discuss travel bubble. It's gonna happen in Hong Kong. So I'll explain in detail how travel bubble works in Hong Kong. Okay, guys. Finish my tea time. It was an awesome meal. And you know, I'm cheap, so they have a 30% discount and free rice refill. So they refill this poached egg with seaweed rice, so it's unlimited. So I just had 2 bowls and I'm just completely stuffed. It's pretty awesome. This is one of my favorite restaurants that I go to. I'm gonna miss it if I, later on if I go somewhere else and won't be able to come here. Especially I'll miss the discount here. You also might be wondering, I'm in a restaurant, why I'm still wearing this mask. Actually, they really want you to keep this mask as much as possible, even though like in Hong Kong generally they won't, when you're eating you can take off your mask, but after that they recommend you put back the mask on in a nice manner. And even while you're eating, they expect you not to talk so much because it might spread the virus around. Yeah, so it's kind of strict. So, but I don't mind. I just want to be safe for everybody here. Let's get into the subject now regarding the travel bubble. So next month it's going to be November, and they already had an agreement with Singapore to have a travel bubble. So what travel bubble is? The reason people are not really mobile or traveling around is you have to be a resident, you have to be a citizen to go to a country that you desire. That's one of the rules. Like in Canada or in the States, you got to be a citizen or something like that to go there. And the reason Hong Kongers, they can't really go, and if they go to mainland, they have to go to a government-appointed hotel, do all the quarantine, be in your room and stuff like that. And when you come back, you still have to be in quarantine. So it's a real hassle, and people rather not risk getting the virus and not even going out. So that is the case around here. So the new travel bubble here is you can freely go to Singapore now and back without quarantine. So if I travel to Singapore next month, I don't have to go through quarantine. I can just visit as a regular tourist, just back in the old days. And after traveling to Singapore, I can come back to Hong Kong, and I don't have to go through quarantine at home and all that. And quarantine is unlike North America or the rest of the world. In Hong Kong, if you do a quarantine, you'll be fitted with a GPS tracker, and it links up to your cell phone. And so every movement they can detect you. So if you are out of your range area, they'll give you maybe 20, 30, maybe 100 feet, something like that, or 200 feet. If you leave that perimeter, the alarm will go on, and they have the right to get the police to arrest you, which is pretty intense. It sounds really bad. And there's a jail term and a really huge fine for breaking the quarantine rules. They've pretty much worked everything out with Singapore. So next month, Hong Kongers can travel freely from Singapore for tourists, or the Singaporeans can come to Hong Kong for tourists. But there are a few requirements that they must take. The most important part is you got to take the COVID test. So COVID tests, I think that you have to do it at least 4 times. And it's going to be costly. There's going to be 4 COVID tests total. So I think there's going to be 1 before you go to Singapore. And when you arrive Singapore, you got to take another one, COVID test. And before you leave Singapore back to Hong Kong, you got to take another COVID test after vacation. and get on the plane to Hong Kong. And when you arrive at Hong Kong, you're going to take another COVID test. So that's going to be 4 COVID tests. But what you gain from all these travel bubble and COVID tests, you don't have to be under house arrest at home for 2 weeks. So that's the price you have to pay to travel freely just to one country in Singapore. And now the COVID test is not cheap either. So I doubt there'll be so many people, that much people traveling with families to the bubble traveled area, approved areas, because each COVID test now they tell us that it's going to be $250 US just for one COVID test. And I think they do the saliva test, spit test, and it costs $250 US each. So think about if you have to do it 4 times, that's going to be $1,000 US just per person. So if you go for a family of 4, that's going to be $4,000 US just for that COVID test. So I don't think it will be like family orientated at the beginning, or it doesn't really make sense. I think it's mainly for business. So if business companies or whatever, they got to come over at meetings or do practical things, they have to. I think company, it's going to be a company business thing. And Hong Kong government has also dealing with 11 more countries. So hopefully, in a few more weeks, they can have a more, they have more countries that would join this bubble travel scheme. So 11 countries is not bad. At least Hong Kong is making an effort to allow more traveling freely, out of the country. But I saw the news, out of these 11 countries, Taiwan is not included. So we don't know why Taiwan isn't included as yet, because Taiwan's only like less than an hour's flight away. It's really close to Hong Kong. So it's, I hope we can travel to Taiwan soon too from Hong Kong. So this travel bubble thing is very, 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 it's a positive thing for Hong Kong. There is no travel bubble established to mainland China, although it's just like 40 minutes away from the border of Shenzhen. So unfortunately, we still can't travel freely between the two places, Shenzhen and Hong Kong. But next month, they let the Hong Kongers come back next month. So it's in a limited scheme. So you have to make a reservation to come back to Hong Kong, but you still have to go through this COVID test. So it's like a one-way thing returning back to Hong Kong from mainland China. And a lot of people have to come back to Hong Kong, especially seniors. Cost of living in mainland China is really cheap. And the housing, everything is much cheaper compared to Hong Kong. So a lot of seniors do like to stay in mainland China, and it's a completely different lifestyle compared to Hong Kong. And the reason they really want to come back is because of the medical insurance in Hong Kong. Because if you're a Hong Kong resident, you don't have to pay hardly any money for the doctor or for your drugs. Usually the entrance fee or something, if you go to see a doctor or something like that from the government, it's just like $20 US. And the medication is it's all supplemented. So you just pay a really fraction of a price for all your drugs. And it's included. Maybe you pay like $5 US for 2 weeks worth of prescription. So it's a really good deal. And now the seniors are kind of stuck in mainland China. They can't come down, and they have no place to. Actually, they have no home in Hong Kong. So how do you expect them to? They don't want to hassle to go through the 2-week quarantine. So hopefully they can, next month, if they enroll or something like that, it's going to be a limited number of people that can come back. It's like a quota basis. So there's not going to be so many people rushing to the border coming back to Hong Kong from mainland China. So it's going to be they don't want crowds at the border, because all the borders are closed now, the gates, and it's not flowing at all except for commercial vehicles. So there's only 2 borders open now. It's the one in Shenzhen Bay and the other one in near Zhuhai, where you get the Zhuhai Macau Hong Kong bridge. So there's the only two ports that are open, and hopefully the seniors can come back to Hong Kong without quarantine. But as I said, coming back to Hong Kong like a one-way trip, they still have to do a COVID test. So that's going to still cost them to be sure the Hong Kong government, you know, when they come back, they won't infect anybody and stuff like that. And in Hong Kong, you know, these few days there will be 0 cases, which is a positive things for Hong Kong. And now they're only restricted 4 per person in a restaurant, and the restaurants must close at 12 o'clock. But now they're relaxing the rules. So coming Friday, they allow 6 people per table, and they can close around 2 a.m. So it applies to all the bars and pubs, you know, and entertainment, you know, karaoke and anything like that. By the way, before I draw to a conclusion, I really want to appreciate you guys for being my Patreon, subscribing to my channel. And if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe to my channel. Go to my Facebook page. I'll leave everything, the Instagram, everything on the description box below. You know, the Patreons that really do help my channel out a lot. And I really, you know, thank you from my heart. So thank you very much for watching. And I'm signing off from Hong Kong. And I'll keep you guys updated always. Bye-bye, guys.